gonna throw in another set. I met a guy in Texas. He showed me this set, so I'm gonna run this set a little bit. And I'm not real good at this set because I haven't made it a lot. But he dug one, and I've been practicing at home doing this set. So we'll see how it turns out. Met this real cool guy in Texas, and he traps for a living down in southern part of Texas. And we had a discussion about step downs, and I told him I didn't like them. And he said he didn't like them either until one of his partners come down there and caught all the coyotes, and he wasn't catching. And he said about 3 days into it, I had to go see what he was doing. He said, because he was wearing me out. And he says, I'm a southern Texas guy. He goes, you know I like flat sets. So he dug a little trench like that. And like I said, I'm not real good, but I have practiced at home with it. And he showed me at Minktoberfest. So he dug a trench like that. This was his version of a step down. And this guy, he trapped 6 months out of the year down in southern Texas, and he had the pictures and the lions and the coyotes to prove it. He said he gets 4 or 5 partners a year come down with him because he's so far down, and you got to be careful. And got, is that Mitchell? Yeah. Cool dude, ain't he? Yeah. And when he told me that he had to run a step down, I believed him. So we come back to the truck. He throwed one in for me, and I'm going to try it out this year. It was kind of a sloped trench like that, and I've seen it on videos. There's all kinds of ways to make them. I see guys making like almost like a post hole looking step down. I've seen all kinds, but this is how he did it. Yeah, I like that guy. He's on his game, man. You could tell. He showed me a lot of pictures, and he's a real deal. I paid close attention when he made the set. So the trap was on a slope like that. And he needed a lot of dirt to cover the trap, because he would get it like that, then he would take his hand and he would expose the pan, and he kept brushing it up to the sides like this. And of course the chain would be under the trap, but he kept making sure this area was flat like that, so there wasn't a drop when he first approached the trap, like we'll call that the 6 o'clock spot. There wasn't a drop. I watched him probably 3 times cover that pan and brush that dirt. Kind of like, I guess you'd almost say 45 degree in that dirt to the sides, back up. Can you see it, Dave? And he said, I really don't put a lot over the pan. Of course, his hole, I probably should have drilled that hole first. His hole was really flat like this. Like that. That's how he made his step down.
Now, is he making that with a substantial backing?
Didn't really talk about it. I did notice though that as he was cleaning the sifter out, because I was bringing him dirt, he was dumping all the junk around the sides like that.
That's what they call the Charlie Robbins dirt hole.
It's not really, because I know a Charlie Robbins dirt hole pretty well. It's a bigger hole, and it is sloped. It is kind of like it, you know.
I've heard a lot of guys talk about that shit, but I never really see anyone make it like that.
I did it.
Runs that pretty.
I did it a lot in Texas, and I swear I seen coyotes standing out here not going in it, because I was in dirt that you could see, and I quit. And that's my whole thing with all this stuff here. I don't see, I mean, there's times when I go out and I got a bunch of flat sets, I catch 5 coyotes and miss 6. But they was there, and they worked the sets, walked all around, they just got lucky. And there's been other times I've caught 12, and I didn't miss hardly any. So, you know, flat sets you can have some misses if you're honest with yourself and you look at the tracks. But it seems like when I do different stuff, I see animals not wanting to commit. And on a level flat set that's subtle, I see animals coming in and not really being scared of it. And that's kind of why I tend to run a lot of flat sets. And me and Mitch had that conversation. He says, yeah, if I'm after one smart coyote, I'm a flat set guy. But if I'm going to rack up the numbers, he said, I'm running that set right there. So I'm going to play with that set. And I'd love to do different stuff. It keeps it fresh for me. So I'll probably be in Texas this year playing around with a bunch of these, seeing how it goes.
If you use a scale 1 to 10, where do you put eye appeal on your set?
On a coyote set, the only eye appeal I really use would be a T-bone steak. I don't really
find it to be that important.
I think they hunt with their nose. On bobcats, I play games,
Right.
hang feathers and put junk around. You know, I've hung discs and done all kind of that stuff. But on coyotes, I think really, until I seen this or do this, I'm pretty much. Now on them, when I put them rabbits in there, there's some feet and stuff down in there, not hanging out. And I do a lot of times chop that rabbit up right here, cut it up so there could be some little tufts of fur kind of floating around here, because I just hatcheted him into some pieces, throw him back in the bucket. But that's usually when I first get a rabbit and I'm breaking him down. I'll do that. And usually the first rabbit I catch, I gut and put the guts in there. And then I get to the next set and I keep a little board with me and I'll chop him up and put pieces down in there.
So the whole object then of the bait is for them not to get that, right?
The hole.
Save, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
you want to keep the bait in that hole as long as
Yeah, because really rabbits don't go under that rock too well.
Right.
You know, they can pick it and get it. And with the pace lure on the top of that, they can't really get that.
I always, when I started reading about this a couple of years ago, it sounded more like they were putting the bait out for whatever they were trying to catch to actually get. That's how I was perceiving it. So that's why I'm asking.
You know, I really think if you make it too easy, they don't want it. You know, it's kind of like we tend to want what we can't have. That's kind of the nature. And if they can't have it, I think you're doing a little better. You know, so I'm sure I've heard guys smear bait on the side of trees and big boulders and stuff, and I did it when I was younger. But it seems like it's pretty easy to walk up there and realize that's not a meal. And you know, animals can do things. You know, anybody thinks an animal's got to do something, they're not really being honest with themselves. An animal can stand here and lean forward and smell that. He don't have to step up there. He's got all kind of ways to do things.
How they just stick and go coyotes.
Yeah.
Stick their nose out, little stick out from the side, not even push your trap, take away some and then turn around.
I mean, just watch your dog, what it can do. You know, your dog can do all kinds of stuff. Especially when I play with lure around my dog, basically scares her. She's never smelled anything that powerful. She is so cautious. She'll lean way out and get a light smell, kind of back up and look at me, you know. But, you know, rabbits, pretty natural. And if I don't have rabbits, I'm just wanting meat in there. So, I don't like doing it, but I'd even cut the quick muscles off a coyote and throw it in with rabbits or whatever, just have a bucket full of stinking meat. Whatever I got, you know. Groundhog would be good if you're here and you're saving groundhogs. That'd be great. Chop that up and use it. Prairie dogs, I've shot some of them when I'm out west and throw them in with a bucket with everything. So.
Well, you're saying all my chicken guts, rabbit guts, quail guts, getting thrown in a bag and froze.
Yeah. So you got, you know, I only running 2 lures here, but then when you factor in your skunk up high, we got the urine, all of a sudden we're at 4, and then we got our natural baits, we're at 5.
When you kill a coyote there, you take anything off of that coyote? Do you use anything off of that coyote?
Yeah, that's a good question. Every female coyote I catch, I cut the vagina off of her. I use them razor blade knives now. And it's automatic. Every female coyote, I just grab her privates. I cut off it's about a 2-inch patch when I get done. And I pin it. I usually would take that rock and put another rock under it, kind of find the pressure point. And then when you said a visual, that would be a good visual. And I pinch it right there. So every remake on a female has got her privates stuck under a rock.
So you're just using the back, just the fur part back there in the back there.
Her vagina.
Yeah.
I just grab it, pull it out, and just slice off a 2-inch patch of fur and run that.
And how about because I know they will pee. Some of them will pee on the traps and everything.
Yeah. You know, I was kind of taught by a guy that he taught me, and this was one of the biggest debates. Was you there, Mark, at Mink Fest when we talked about trap circles? You know, and I brought it up, and I asked Gary Jepson about it. So many of the guys reset in the circle. I kind of was taught by some Western guys, they pull out of the circle and reset at the edge. I tend to pull out of the circle and reset at the edge. So I think if you're in Kansas and you got so many coyotes and the greed is so high and there's so much going on, it don't matter. I tend to be in Western states where coyotes have been chased. I'm usually there in late February, March. They're a little skittish. I pull the set and move to the edge of the circle. I'm a worker. I'm not afraid to get the crowbar out, let's get it out of the ground. I'll take that same rock. Usually that lure's been dusted pretty hard from him fighting all night. So I don't re-lure it. It's milder now. So I take that rock and I'll just come right out to the edge of the circle and put another set, take that same trap and that rock and put it right there. But something else I'll do is, before I dispatch the coyote, usually they'll poop. And I locate them turds so I don't step on them or I know where they're at. Then I get her or him killed. And then the turds go here with that original rock not being relured. And then just a turd set. And then if it's a female, I got her privates there too with the turds. And that's my remake. And you know, there should always be another 1 or 2 sets out there somewhere else. But I do pull, but you know, there's guys telling me they caught 40 coyotes in one remake, you know, in their life, you know, and I believe it, but I don't do it, you know, and Gary doesn't either. Gary Jepson, and if anybody knows Gary Jepson, he's an old-time Western coyote trapper, and me and him sat off the side talking about it, and he's like, you know, you can probably catch them in there, and those guys do, but you don't know if you're missing some. And maybe the guy that does catch 10 in the circle, well, maybe he'd have caught 12 if he'd have moved out of the circle. Because we know that a coyote comes up to a circle, he's never smelled anything like that before. I mean, that coyote had a wreck, died, went to the restroom all over everything, and that is that is a hot spot, and there has to be a certain amount of coyotes that's scared of that. And I know there is because I've drove by and seen where coyotes didn't go in. They walked around the edge of it. So I think it's all got to do with the population of coyotes here after.
And then as far as your old circle, do you do anything to that?
No.
Or just leave it alone?
I'm usually trying to move so fast, I just pull it out of there, grab my stuff, and put another one in right here. And I think being fast is pretty good too. Not staying there too long.
I've always had better luck going outside the catch circle.
I believe in it too. You know,
It depends. If you're in a bean field and it's dry like right now,
yeah,
and he fought it all night.
yeah. And then you get this
It's not
kind of
that big of a deal.
this kind of sun, you know, it's got to be knocking the smell down a little bit,
Get
you know.
out there in the rain and let them mud hole that up, and it's junk.
It's junk. I agree.
I can come back in January, maybe,
Yeah.
and work that over after it's had weather on it for 60 days, or
Oh,
maybe
yeah.
35 days.
Gary seemed to think that 7 to 10 days you could go back in the circle.
Weathered.
Yeah, but you know, really, I guess if he said 7 to 10 days, you could just sit back in the circle and wait it out. Your 7 to 10 days.
How many are you missing that time?
Yeah. I'm a pull and scoot out. That's just how I do it. I pull it up and move it out there. I know that's going to work. You know. So it'll be fun to try this year, won't it?
I'm gonna try it just because I watched you do it. I've done similar stuff. That Leggett set for fox years ago was very similar.
Was it?
Very similar. Smaller traps, 1.5.
Yeah.
Carmen did the same thing. He wrote a book or article or something.
Yeah.
And they had that, and it was, everything was just half size smaller.
Yeah.
on it. I watched that. I see where your jaws are on that. Everything's vertical.
Yeah.
Right down into your bed.
Yeah, this is tapered to the pan, both sides.
45 degrees
Yeah, and then flat here.
flat. Landing zone. I call
Yeah,
it that landing
yeah.
zone.
And I watched Mitchell several times. When he was making that set, he kept moving that dirt out of there and patting that down.
Gives him a chance to be comfortable.
Yeah,
Try to stand there and be comfortable, and then decide or like you said, greed, want,
mm-hmm.
desire. Then he'll commit, and that's what you want. When you got that commitment, you usually have.
You want to do one? Show us. You do a set.
I do the same thing you do, Jim.
Yeah, just throw one in.
I do.